just standing by for the Stena ferry, which is just coming out from the River Stour, and just before crossing the channel. So he's in the deep water channel just ahead of me here, and then the South Cardinal here, just staying north side of that. So we've got some heavy rain coming in, very heavy, and my tiller pilot is buggered. I've just left Felixstowe Bar and I've got the thing in bits. I really need to fix this because I can't go inside to do it because I need something to steer the boat. Better get this covered up. It's absolutely chucking it down today. We are about, well, just clipping off round the Maldon on the Naze point, and I'm heading to Bradwell with the tide now. Had a few issues with my electronic tiller pilot this morning, and I was under motor at the time, so I set up the boat to sail, and I've just been messing around with it and had it open a few times to see if the pickups were fouled or something like that, but turned out to be water in the plug socket, so it wasn't getting enough power, I think, to the pilot. It was just sending the compass all over the place. So yeah, it was a bit irritating, but that's all sorted now, and I'm under sail, and actually there's a better wind than forecast, and in completely different direction to what was forecast. So, but the rain is definitely as was forecast, and it's been quite wet. But I'm all gilled up. I've got my ghillie suit on, totally gilled up. Not often you get this gilled up in the middle of summer. Well, not at least for a whole day. Amazing! Just another lovely UK summer's day. So yeah, I'm gonna head. We're with the tide at the minute. Picked up this wind. Don't know where it's come from because nothing was forecast. So hopefully we'll get into Bradwell, which is where I'm heading for, Bradwell Marina, for about sort of 4 o'clock, 3 or 4 o'clock. I don't want to get there too early because Bradwell is obviously tide height dependent. I am not going to get this boat in there if I haven't got enough water, obviously. So I need to be sort of like plus 2 hours either side of high water, I think, is the sort of bare minimum. A little bit sad because this is the last trip out this season in Stowaway. But it doesn't mean that nothing's going to be happening. The boat will be getting lifted in a couple of weeks' time. The cosmetic work starts, the painting, well, I say the painting, there's going to be a heck of a lot of sanding being done before any painting can be done. But I've been experimenting at home on an old canoe I've got with some Jotun product, which I'm pretty impressed with so far. It's taken a little bit of sort of trial and error with a sort of type of rollers and how much thinner, etc. But I've picked up a few tips online, and I'm pretty happy with sort of like the application of the product. So a lot of the work is going to be sort of the sanding and getting the hull nice and flat and streamlined, so I can prepare for the primer and then the top coat. So I'm hoping to get that done before sort of like the worst weather comes in, the colder temperatures. Obviously I wouldn't be doing it in stuff like this, so I'm relying off nice weather during September, sort of October, to be able to at least get the top sides of the hull done. The deck is likely not going to be able to get finished until sort of next year, so but it'll be a big start, and I'll be glad to actually do that, because she's such a mess. Like, I went into Suffolk Yacht Harbour earlier, and yeah, it really was a bit of a mess. Oh, we're trucking along now, a good 7 knots, which is perfect. it's still raining. We're just off Clacton Pier. The wind has not been particularly strong. It's kind of gusty 1 minute, or it picks up nicely 1 minute, dries everything off to a degree, and then back comes the rain again. This suit is completely drenched, so I'm just trying to stay into the kitchen part of the cabin. Everything else is quite nice and dry. Just made myself something to eat. But yeah, come out of it for a little while, which is nice. But yeah, I think the wind's just starting to pick up again now. It's just enough to get the Hebridean going. Just have to negotiate around some of these sort of day fishing trip vessels. Actually making for the Colne bar, I'm gonna have enough water to get over there, I think, by the looks of things. So head over there, and then it's about 5 nautical miles to Bradwell. So yeah, doing alright so far, and tide's with us still, which is perfect. So if you haven't got one of these, a Lidl's bag for the tiller pilot, get one. They're absolutely free, well, apart from the 20p or whatever you pay at the kiosk, but I've got loads of these kicking around the boat. But yeah, just thought, well, it's an old tiller pilot and I've taken it apart a few times today, so I'm not 100% sure the seal's properly there. I'm totally dry. This gill stuff is awesome. I'll be honest, it's not driving rain, but I've been wet now for quite a long time. Well, the gear has been wet a long time, and I'm not feeling any damp on the sort of close contact parts of the suit, which is nice. Sometimes you get that sort of like wet feeling, and any water on the suit can sort of feel like it's getting through, but it's actually perfectly dry, which is really nice, unexpected. So yeah, and it breathes well as well. Sometimes when you're moving around on deck, you start to sweat a little bit, and it's actually it actually breathes quite well, so you don't, you're able to dry out inside. Just doesn't keep building up. So that's good. My spray hood though, I need to get some. I've got some waterproof spray at home for like camping, for tents and stuff like that, so I might just put that on. It's actually, I mean, it's really good. It's not got any rip parts or anything, but you can sort of tell that the canvas probably needs a little bit of treatment. But the windows definitely need replacing. I've got a few cracks here and there, which is letting a little bit of water through, but not too much. But the plastic is grazed now. It's like, I don't know whether that's as a result of UVs or not, but it's not very clear. It needs replacing. I got a quote for like, I think it was about 90 quid or 80 quid or something to replace both of these, which isn't too bad. A little bit of a book read, Skip Novak on sailing. I think this is awesome actually. It's not like a really intensive kind of biography of Skip's, what is it, 50 years of sailing, but more kind of like easy reading chapters, which is awesome, because he was editor of Yachting Monthly magazine, so he's kind of like stuck all the articles together and then did like a little sort of afterthought of how things have changed since then, which is pretty good. Quite a bit on the Whitbread races and just general kind of thought on the way that sailing, racing, cruising is going in the world, which is pretty cool. So just going over the Colne bar at the minute. Now this is the low water, or the chart datum, chart depth, so I'm just in this little pit here at the minute, and just the shallowest part is across here, but we've got about 3.5 meters on top of that at the minute, so we should be able to pass over that quite well. Just 4.5 now. It'd be quite nice to do some fishing right now. I reckon I could, if I was a little bit slower in the water, I could probably do quite well, to be fair. You can just see where the ripple, there's like a disturbance in the water. It actually kind of looks like it's like a shallower area, but it might just be the ridge of the bank into the deeper part of the Colne. Just a little bit of wind. A little bit of wind just picks up, which is nice. Do well. to be a steady 4.8 metres the whole way across this. It's as flat as a pancake, I hope. I'm not sure how often this bank actually shifts, but I've heard it does vary quite a lot sometimes, especially after storms, and we have had quite a large storm come through the other day, so just best to be a little bit cautious. I don't know how much more my wind vane's going to stay effective, because as we're coming into the estuary, I'm going to start to see some sort of like wind changes, I expect. So I might have to put the tiller pilot on. This is a big wide river, and the entrance is about 4 nautical miles across. I've just plotted it on the chart from landfall at St Osyth's, which is just over here, just on the east side of the Colne River, and then all the way to St Peter's, which is over here. So that's 4 nautical miles across, and that's kind of like the entrance, the mouth, if you like, of the Blackwater. Here comes some more rain. Obviously missed me. There we go again. Nice dark cloud over there. That's a big one. I'm thinking there's going to be a bit of a squall here. Like a little swimming pool in there. Here we go. There we've got 17 knots. Lovely. Okay, so got the sails down and my fins and lines are ready. I've just got the bow line draped over the rails there, just ready to go. The main bulk's in the middle. So we've got this main marker here, just this north marker, sort of marks the start of the channel, and then you've got the port card feeding you in, and then there's Bradwell just over there. Let's give it a go. So the shallowest part, the entrance to Bradwell Creek, the first sort of, I suppose, 5 to 10 minutes actually going into the channel. It's really well marked out. These little port cans here, one after the other. That's probably the shallowest section. A little bit of a dog leg coming up to the creek, but again, plenty of water. I nearly made the mistake of thinking this big port post marker here was the entrance, but no, that's the end of the slipway for the sailing club. So if you've got 2 quite large vessels going in or coming in, out, whichever, of the marina, it can be a little bit narrow with less water, but the actual channel into the marina is fine for normal-sized sailing boats. It's well protected as well at low water. They've got a nice bank around, so you're protected in pretty much everything other than a sort of very strong northerly wind, really. It's funny when you're in the cockpit, you can't actually see what's going on the bow. You just get a feeling that you shouldn't be too far forward. I don't like to overshoot the main pontoon finger, if you like, just in case there's a junction box there or something. The midship line really helped because I didn't have to go all the way forward to get the bow line, so that made things a lot easier. Fantastic. Look at this. this thing was keeping me up a bit last night. Let's turn it off. It's a lot sunnier today. The wind is getting up to sort of top end 20s, 27, 28, gusting 27 later on today. So from the southwest, so we're looking at maybe leaving here in about an hour and a half and heading round to the Colne and going up to Pyefleet Creek, and that's going to give us a bit of protection from this strong southwesterly, hopefully. So yeah, that's the plan. So I met up with my mate George, who keeps his Hurley Spindrift in the marina. He had a cart, so we jumped in and head 30 minutes down the road to Maldon. So this is a 1940s steam-driven tugboat called Brent. A load of these were built to support the war effort, but this one was built a little bit too late and sold to the London Port Authority, or Port of London Authority instead. It was due to be scrapped in the 1970s, as many of them were. However, this one was saved by the Hall family of Maldon, who used her as a holiday tugboat for nearly 40 years until the need for major repairs caused her to be laid up.
How far back does it go?
It's 9 foot. 9 foot diameter, 9 foot.
You can see it on the side.
That's got to weigh, what, 40, 50 tonne?
Yeah, maybe, yeah. It's not light, yeah.
No.
So will you have to cut the deck off?
You've got to cut the whole top of the boat off, yeah, to get.
So this huge section of the engine room is actually one big vessel where the steam is generated to power the Dickinson steam engine itself. So the main boiler would have been. It's quite badly corroded and would require the deck to be removed and then this section to be lifted. It's approximately a 50-ton condenser unit. And either replaced or repaired somewhere. Brent is a nationally important historic vessel which the steam tug Brent Trust hopes to save and share with present and future generations. It's open regularly to visitors spring and summer on static display, so if you're ever in Maldon, get down to the quay and have a look around. So back in Bradwell, and we had intended to head off for an overnight anchor on the River Colne, and this is where the fun really started though. The wind had kicked up quite nicely and was blowing me onto the pontoon, so coming out of here in reverse and coming away from the marina was going to be a bit challenging, as you will see. So I had the engine in reverse to kick away from the pontoon. Obviously I had the wind trying to push me there, so I really didn't want that. As soon as I engaged forward gear, the bow just kicked round to starboard a little bit and with no water flow along the hull, the wind took its effect and I basically was facing towards the boats along that pontoon. So I started a little forward and reverse motion trying to get the bow round, but wouldn't have any of it at all. Just didn't have enough speed to counter the wind strength. You can't see it here, but just astern of me, I'm literally about half a metre to a metre away from the other boats. I really didn't want to end up being blown on the leeward side of the harbour there up against those boats. It would have been quite messy and I probably would have caused some damage. So yeah, I got the bow around with the help of someone, just kicked the stern around so the bow was facing further down the marina and came alongside this empty section. Bow now into wind, so the intention was to put a spring on there and it would easily bring the bow around, as you'll see here. We had wind speeds up to 15 knots in the marina, and it was
quite a lot more out in the Blackwater, as you'll see shortly.
Good luck. Have a nice time. Lovely. Thanks a lot for your help. Yeah, lovely time. Oh man, that was fun. Trying to get out of that in 15 knots of wind astern, not an easy task. Thankfully I didn't touch a single boat, which was good. But yeah, so I had to come to the end of the pontoon and manage myself there. So we've got 15 knots from astern, and we're probably doing about 4 knots down here. So it's blowing up quite nicely out of the river. There's George in Hurley. He's getting thrown around a bit. There's a lot of chop in this river today. Mad. Oh, I had a big wave a little while ago and thought it was going to come and jump on board and join me for dinner. Interesting. Look at these. Wind over tide, so we've got water coming up the river and the wind trying to blow it out the other way, so hence the snotty sea. So at the minute we've got 17 knots from astern. I am just got a course towards Mersey, and just to keep her full, I'm just off to the port side, port quarter a little bit. I don't really want that sail sort of flogging around violently. It's better if it's full, so I'll head to the north side of the river and then make a tack round to out into the main part of the river, I think. A good force 5 out here today. I've got 17 knots from astern, and you probably can't hear what I'm saying because of the wind. I think I need a new UV strip.
So I haven't done a lot of yacht racing, but I just kind of got into the mode here. I'm trying to gain ground on George and Hurley, which actually to begin with it was a little bit of a struggle, but as the wind increased, the Nicholson took off and I was able to gain quite a bit of ground and eventually overtake him. But we were taking a shortcut, both of us were taking a shortcut to the River Colne by going over a shallow area, sandbank, known as the Mersey Flats. So we had about we were at high water, so we probably had about 6 meters, 5 to 6 meters in general, and I think the shallowest point was something like 3 or 4 meters. So with this swell, I was a little bit cautious because I didn't want to hit the ground too hard. It is a sandbar, so you wouldn't really get any warning.
Hopefully I'll find a space in Pyefleet Creek, but we'll have to find out if there is any space. I expect it'll be quite busy because it's going to hopefully be quite sheltered around the back there, so yeah, we'll have to wait and see. I've got to prep my anchor at some point. I'll wait until the sea state drops a little bit before I go forward and untie the anchor and get that ready.
So I really like Pyefleet Creek, but today it looks quite busy indeed, and I needed a bit of space to drop the hook in this wind. As soon as I was taking the power off the throttle, the bow was kicking round quite quickly, so I was actually under power right up until the point where I went forward and then dropped the hook. As you can see here, the bow's already snaking around as I'm lowering the anchor, so just timed it right to get it on the ground. I started out with 10 meters just to let it ground and dig in before putting out. I think it was another 15, something like that. The wind wasn't due to get up any more that day. In fact, it was sort of staying where it was until about midnight and then dropping off.
I think this is about as sheltered as you're going to get here, to be honest. Hello.
So as the tide ran out, we gained a little bit more protection from the Mersey Island, and everything settled out quite nicely. Had a few beers, a bit of scran.
Bacon Sanioso.
Interestingly, when the tide goes out of the Colne, there's a bit of a bore wave, which I noticed as well, which can knock things around a little bit, but it's not too bad. So there's cheerio to George, and I was going to make my way back round to the Orwell.
All the best, mate. Now the fun and game starts, getting up the engine. The engine? The anchor. We are in approximately, I don't know, amount of depth because I haven't turned the nav instruments on yet. This is all going to be fun. Okay, so we're on a falling tide. By the tide graph, I should have enough to get over Colne Bar. There's about 3.5 meters across that at the minute, and low water's predicted to be about 2 meters at the lowest point. So worst comes to worst, I'll see that. But I'm actually seeing more water depth in the main channel than what's predicted. So by about 1 meter. So we'll see. We'll just what I'm going to do is I'm going to edge towards the Colne sort of shallow area and just test the ground, just see what I've actually got in terms of depth. So you can see we're just on the edge of the I don't know if you can see that, we're just on the edge of the bank there now. I've still got 12.7 meters, so I'll just test the depth. If there's enough, I'll head right across it, but otherwise it means having to go all the way down to the bottom before turning to the sort of east and heading up towards Walton. If I start running out of water, I'll just tack and then come back out again. But yeah, once we know the depth, that'll be pretty much the depth all the way across the bar. So yeah, I'm fairly confident we can get across it though. It's got 5.6. I predict about 3.5 meters at the shallowest point. So just cleared the Colne bar now. Got down to about 3 meters, which is interesting. There's like a deep hole of like 12 or 13 meters right in the middle, and it looks horrendous because there's waves like crashing over it or into it as the current's running over the top. And as I was approaching it, I was thinking, is this for real? Is this actually gonna be as deep as it is? And when I hit the well, it was like, I think I had 17 meters at one stage, or went from 3 meters to 17 meters in like a couple of seconds. It's mad. But yeah, we've cleared over the top of that now. Done that quite quickly because it's still got the tide running. So yeah, running down here about, well, we're doing about 5.5 knots at the minute. I haven't got all of the genoa out. Just hiding behind the main. Come on. Just on the end of the wind farm at the minute. I'm not sure what they're doing, but I think there's like these new wave generators that they're installing maybe on the bottom. I'm not sure, but I've read that they've started putting them on quite a lot of wind farms to increase the gain from the or the output even of the field itself. Just got that one there, and there's another jack up there. I'm not sure what they're doing. That one looks like it's replacing the blades. That one, I think, might be taking the whole thing out or putting a new one in. Probably could do with putting the pole out, but I'm really not sure what the. I may change my tack in a little while just to come a bit further out into the wallet. But at the minute, the wind seems to be following the coast quite nicely. The tide's just changed now. I've lost a little bit of ground speed, but we're making good progress. Just got the Walton pier just in front of me, and once we get around that, I should be able to start sort of making a bit more progress towards Felixstowe. I might be able to get the Genoa to fill on the other tack, and that'll give a big boost of speed. So should just be able to clip the worst of the tide as it peaks. So, but you can see the sea state now is yeah, like sort of wind over tide, and this is exactly what you want to avoid when the conditions are a lot more sort of windier, I suppose. As the tide starts to peak, you get this horrible wind over tide snot, which is kind of, it makes the wallet a bit sort of infamous, really. This lovely Thames barge up ahead, just off port side. There's quite a fetch going on here now. And I'm just running the engine just to recharge a little bit of the batteries because I've had the autopilot on. I didn't think I need to do, but I did it anyway. That is a proper full-on round-the-world cruiser. I love the sails as well. I like that. It goes nicely with the blue hull as well. Lovely. It's actually quite calm now. Might get my fishing rod out. Give this a go. Don't try these lures. Pinch them off, George. He had quite a decent kit on board. I'm trying to slow myself down now. I've sped up again. I think this is probably going to be too fast. 3.3 knots. I end up ripping the bleeding heads off the things. I don't want to do that. Put the brake on. I'll wait until maybe a bit later when things settle out a bit. Just in the old Flagstaff mount. That's quite good. Just put a little tag around there just in case it goes flying. So just been down this morning. The wind has just started kicking up really nicely, but I've just taken my sails down because next week Stowaway is being lifted out for the start of her cosmetic surgery, if you like. Looking probably a good month or two's work to at least try and get the top sides of the hull done, sanded back right to the gel coat again, repairs to the gel coat or surface, get that all nice and flat, and then there's going to be the primer and the top coat on. So yeah, stay tuned. It's going to be a little bit maybe a little bit of a gap between this video and the next one, while I sort of build a bit more content on that and just try and capture the processes. I think more than anything it's going to be a bit of a learning process for me, and obviously there might be a few hiccups here and there, but yeah, it's all part of the learning process and the fun and games of sort of owning a boat, really.